TemTeam Cup, May edition. I'm Quarter, and with me is none other than the amazing Jeb. How's it going?
Hello everyone, it's been a while. It's going well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Honestly, this has been a fiery week in terms of everything. We've seen our top 8 slowly rise to the top here. We'll notice that Sryzen only has this match to play inside. This match, Nekoblakii versus Sryzen. So, like, basically either of these will get to top 8 off this match. If they wind up tying, then only Nekoblakii, like, basically has to lose to Nekoblakii to get in. Sorry, yeah, like Nekoblakii has to lose to Tsubaki-chan to get get Sryzen into the top cuts. That should be really interesting to see.
Yeah, it's probably one of the closest things we'll have, and later on we'll have the Nekoblakii versus Tsubaki match. So that will pretty much right away make clear who will leave Group D victorious.
Indeed, indeed.
As Tsubaki obviously is very comfortably in the lead and has already placed for top 8, but that second place for Group D is still up between Neko and Sryzen, so this will be a very interesting match.
Yeah, certainly. It does help that, okay, I generally really enjoy the matchup between Nekoblakii and Sryzen. Sryzen running a very aggressive team. Nekoblakii running also a very aggressive team, but like with a bit more sturdiness behind it. I've tended to find like Sryzen's got that hedge in game and the tireless Mashuk. Nekoblakii is running like Amphitheater and a bunch of wins alongside some other consistent threats. A tireless Shook of her own as well. It's a fun aggro mirror that works out fairly effectively in terms of their actual opposition.
Yeah, and I feel like those matchups, the more bulky aggro and aggro matchups are always really, really interesting. I think having a little bit more bulk behind your team generally allows you to do a little bit more, but that doesn't take anything away from running full on aggro, of course, because that can just roll over teams.
I mean, with the new tools that it has at the moment, it's been very hard to deal with. If you outspeed, you get a ton, especially if your opponent allows you, it's become to a point where, like, you really have to make sure that you're team building in such a way that you can lead into double Fire Koish if you're going to let that stay open, or double Mashuk. Because Mimid on aggro teams really turns things up to 11 and just takes the strongest threat against you and means now there's 2 of them. Obviously with Fire Koish that's a problem enough, but with a lot of the others there it can become even worse. Still though, we are in. I'm going to quickly hop us over.
Yes, we are in the game, and you mentioned the Fire Koish and Mimid opener, fearsome opener, but that Fire Koish has been banned right away, which... as you said, Fire Koish plus Mimid is a terrifying opener to deal with.
Absolutely it is. It's definitely not something that you want to see there. We do see the token immediately get banned out from Nekoblakii side as well. We won't get to see that resplendent Luma today. But, I mean, that is one of the best answers to Mashuk, while also resisting a number of key things on Sryzen's side. It makes sense as a first ban when you have so much crystal aggression and whatnot, and fire aggression coming out from Sryzen's side. We see a first pick of Valish, though. I don't actually remember if Neko is running physical or not.
Yeah, so this is one of the changes that I love about Valash. As anyone would know, I'm a big Valash fan, and having an option for physical now is fantastic. Sryzen picks up the Mashuk and is hovering for that Golzi, and those deal with Valash pretty well.
Yeah, no, that is really good. My big concern here is that does leave Sryzen open turn 1 against a Barnshi. If we see Barnshi picked up from Nekoblakii here, then basically all Nekoblakii has to do is Wind Burst into the Mashuk and Crystal Spikes into the Golzi, and then oof, that's a lot of problems from Sryzen's side.
Yeah, I don't mind it too much because that Golzi also threatens out the Barnshi somewhat, of course.
Turn 2, yeah, but they don't tend to pack a turn 1 move. Neko agrees with you though, picking up the Volfi instead.
And Volvi, I don't know if I like that too much. Volvi does not appreciate physical moves. Mashuk and Golzi both pretty physical TemTeam, so I'm not sure if I like that pickup too much, but Neko has a plan for it, I assume.
Okay, this could be bait. Right, if this is bait, actually, yeah, okay, right. So here's my thought here. If this is bait, and what this actually is please hit my Volfi this turn, so that way I can swap in Mashuk or Barnshi on the next turn. That's one thing that can happen here. The other thing this is splitting aggression a bit, because obviously you want to double into one of these slots, and Valish really commands attention, right? It's going to Crystal Spike the hell out of your boys. It's pretty rough.
So that Barnshi goes out right away, as you mentioned. It's very good into that lead, so getting it out as soon as possible. Alternatively, on that Fovi pick, what I thought is, if you look at Sryzen's team, it's pretty Fovi weak.
Oh yeah, like you still want it.
Pick up the Fovi in the opener, it's gonna get banned as well, because the rest of Sryzen's team is just weak to Fovi.
So you think that was just an opportunistic, I need to have this, otherwise it's gonna get banned out?
I think so. Looking at that team, Hedgine, Inky, Valash, and Osiara all do not like Fovi at all.
That makes a lot of sense, and it's definitely good into the Hellfire, for instance. It even blocks the CIF. That becomes something that Golzy wants to use on turn 2. Sort of that little sword of Damocles is always something that Sryzen's going to have to worry about there. We see very quickly the Mimit ban, followed by a Hedge and Valish pickup.
Yeah, Mimit ban is great here. Sryzen has a lot of potential setup with Valash, Hedgine, even the Tireless on Mashuk, right? So it that Mimit would have a lot of opportunities to get some buffs and maybe get a sweep later. So I like that ban. It's a really good TemTeam, of course.
Obviously. With the, ensuring that Sryzen isn't allowed to double up on things, like, if Sryzen was able to get double Mashuk turn 2, that would have been pretty nightmarish.
Yeah, and Sryzen picks up the Inky as a last TemTeam, and Inky is another one that's really interesting to me. It has a lot of options, and obviously looks like pretty good on paper. I haven't seen it used too much yet, as I've been out of comp a little bit, but I love it on paper.
It's been around. The biggest challenges that I've seen, okay, so I do know that Sryzen is running Fizzmaster. So Fizzmaster does mean that you have Sparkling Bullet, you get Paizo.
Yes.
You get Sharp Stabs, you get a couple fun tools. What you don't have is turn 1 Crystal Aggression, which I suppose you don't have anyways with Inky. But you also don't quite have the same punch behind your attacks unless you're getting that synergy off.
All right, yeah, that sounds about right. I'm looking forward to seeing it in this match, and as we went into it, it's this opener that we discussed a little bit. The Fovi does not like this board. It doesn't have an Earth move turn 1, so it can't threaten out the Golzy with an Earth move anyways. Golzy does leave, because it didn't want to eat the Crystal Spikes, or the potential Crystal Spikes. We're still not sure if it's physical or special, and it is the special, and it is the Crystal Spikes going into the Hedgine, 22%.
One upside that we see there, of course, is the fact that Nekoblakii is running Sweatband on her Volfi, meaning that you're not getting that Handcuffs terror on the lock-in. She runs it on the Amphitheater instead, because then Volfi obviously has massive stamina problems if you want to make sure that it's a long-term threat. So a lot of people have been shifting it over to that while using the more aggressive and speedy Amphitheater as their Handcuffs user instead. This has saved Sryzen a lot of maneuverability, in my opinion.
And look at that Valash, it went down to 30% after the attack from Mashuk, and it does not appreciate this board at all. Hedgine at a semi-comfortable 60% after eating a double in. That seems like a big win for Sryzen here.
The Volfi is still kind of a hanging threat. It is in no way perturbed by a lot of what Hedgin's going to be throwing into this board. Like, a Plasma Beam still takes out Valish, sure, but you're kind of just letting Volfi exist at that point. Mashuk is stuck clicking the moves that don't get it to really, get its train rolling, which is unfortunate, but still valuable on this board nonetheless.
Yeah, I feel like that is just a little bit of a... That isn't the worst problem to have. If you can click uppercut and deal 70% to a Valash, I think you're pretty happy.
Oh yeah, I'm not going to argue with that. I'm just, like, short term, I think Sryzen's in a fantastic spot here. The things that I'm wary about is, first off, that Gallus swapping in. If that's a mirroring Gallus, then this Hedgen could actually get taken down a lot further. Second off, like, if something gets down and then we see an OCR revenge kill here, combined with a bit more damage onto that Mashuk, I think that could get pretty dicey. I think the Mashuk is easily the worst threat that Sryzen has for Nekoblakii.
So, how important do you think this Hedgehine is on Sryzen's team? Because if you look at it, it's the Gyalis, right, that it does well or does good damage against. But like you said, if that is mirroring, then this Hedgehine is dead already, and potentially the Mashuk, yeah.
Like, the digital damage onto those two melees is really powerful, but I think that dealing with the Valish is already a nice thing. It's kind of knife fights Volfi, but I don't think you want to be at the same field of it right now. Unless you're just choosing to sack it. I think that there are potentially other threats that Sryzen can use, especially as we can see the cage does come down. He is desperate to get this Valish kill. Nekoblakii tries to swap it, but the swap gets blocked by the cage. The Hellfire does come down. The space is intentionally left blank by Volfi, but at the same time, that is a trade that Sryzen is willing to make there, going for the Sandstorm as the revenge kill into that, but the Hedgen lives at one health. Hit point.
Oh god, that was really painful. Neko going for that Sandstorm, spreading the damage. Maybe if that Hedgehine would have swapped out, he would have hit something, right? With a Sandstorm, Inky, Velash, Golsey all wouldn't appreciate that that Earth move. So it's the safe move, but that saved that Hedgehine in the end.
Yeah, no, it definitely did. And the cage is exactly what I was okay. I was looking for a big stamina, but also big momentum move from Sryzen. That was exactly what he needed to click there.
Oh, I love Cage so much. I love it on aggro teams because you do exactly things like this, and now the Velash is gone. Yep. And Velash was quite a big threat for Golsey. So now Golsey gets opened up a little bit more, right?
It also frees up Inky a ton. Obviously, Volfi means that Inky can't really look at this board without feeling fear. But Valish was another big key threat to Inky here. Like, there's a lot of things that threaten it, don't get me wrong. But, like, clearing up threats for that, if you're trying to clean up the late game with Inky or just have it around and be capable of doing things, then, you want to start picking off things that can automatically just shut it down as hard as the 4x Earth weakness can. So we see the OCR hop in here, and I'm expecting that this is basically looking to eat a single wastewater, divert attacks from the Volfi again, and blizzard the Mashuk.
Yeah, so this is why I thought that Volvi might be like the pick as a win con, because as we see, Neko is just diverting all pressure from Volvi, and it's just doing Volvi things at this point.
It certainly is doing Volfi things. And yeah, no, you made a very good point there.
That OCR, well, it will deal with Hedgehine, of course, but anything will deal with Hedgehine at this point. I do not know if you wanted to eat a wastewater, but then again, it makes it so that your Volvi doesn't get uppercut, and Volvi stays for another turn. Otherwise, OCR just gets its value off with its very high special attack.
There is one other thing this could be, which is bait again. We actually do see the aquatic go down here.
Yeah, I was expecting this actually because... Oh, it's on the Mashuk actually. Mashuk going down to 30%. Fire Tornado coming out from Hedgehine into that Volvi, I assume. Volvi taking a decent bid, going down to 49%.
Yeah, this is actually... This makes perfect sense to me. You want this Mashuk dead before it clicks more than one move. The Tireless comes out there, and we will see an overexertion. If this takes down the Mashuk...
Oko!
Then
through Tukma Mask!
Is exactly what Nekoblakii wanted. That Mashuk, like, once again, if we look at the typings here, it was only Mashuk on Nekoblakii's side that was resisting that.
Yeah, that Volvi still took 51% damage, and that OCR got OC'd by the wastewater through a Tukma Mask. But Volvi is in a pretty good position here. It's a scary TemTeam to face. With that Sweatband, it will be able to throw out moves consistently. It can go for that Sandstorm again. It can go for the Plague. I'm expecting just Earth moves at this point.
My concern is that you're still going to be taking chip damage onto the Volfi, which is definitely a distinct win condition. But what about other Tireless Mashuk?
Oh, yeah, it's not the only Mashuk. That is the other Mashuk coming out, and Golsey on Sryzen's side. But Golsey is not the most bulky Tem. He doesn't really want to eat the Sandstorms or the Dust Vortex from Fovi. Hedgehog will die at this point.
Take it down. I don't actually remember how Sryzen spread his. I believe that this is a very fast, aggressive one. So it's likely that it's just going to be uppercutting into the Volvi this turn.
Well, if it is a fast, aggressive one, which now that I look at it, is probably the case, right, with Sryzen's team. Yeah, and Neko dips the Volvi as expected. It's a major win con, sensing the Gialis to eat the potential uppercut.
This could be for other moves as well. The Chamomile, obviously valuable. It's unfortunate to see it not absorbing a bunch of things that it can get that mirroring onto, but it's still, you know, it's taken that hit very comfortably there. And it will be able to clap back with the sharp stabs, potentially getting the KO. I don't know if Neko's actually outspeeds. I know that Gallus obviously has a much higher speed tier than Golsey. I just don't remember Neko's speed investment. I can assume it's fairly high too, but a Crystal Bite definitely KOs from there. I think a sharp stabs does. I think you want to go for Prio anyways here though, because the Hedgin got to live an extra turn, and a Hellfire would actually really hurt.
Yeah, so this Hedgine has had so much value. It's been sitting on 1 HP for a while now, and Sryzen just has been comfortably clicking moves with it. So this Hedgine definitely had more value than expected in the end.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. I was kind of expecting Neko to spend at least one extra turn from Volthy or something like that, taking it down, but like excising the Mashuk from the game came at the cost of ignoring this Hedgin for a bit longer, and it's definitely started to gain value again. We do see the Inky swap in here, eating the sharp stabs.
Must have been a sack. We were expecting that. We were expecting that sharp stabs. Inky takes it. Well, not at all. There's the uppercut, and Inky dies.
Well,
it's a double KO.
Given the fact that this is the back line that Nekoblakii has, which is, well, 3 things that Inky hates, I can't say that this wasn't the best use of Inky right here.
Yeah, in the end, that Inky was maybe not the pickup, but yeah, it just died. It was a sack, saving Golsey. So at least Golsey might live another turn now because the Prio is gone. We still don't know if the Gialis outspeeds naturally, right? It's swapped in and then it's sharp stabbed, so we don't know if this Gialis will outspeed the Golsey or if this Golsey is just running that much speed.
What we can expect is, okay, a Crystal Dust onto this Mashuk. Once again, I don't remember which type of Valish Sryzen's is either, so we'll have to wait and see.
Well, the Crystal Dust is a given, if it is the special.
Yeah, exactly.
If it is the special Valish.
It's if it is.
Which would be the best right now. There's the Crystal Spike, so onto the Gialis, but this is a mirroring Gialis, right? So Valish will take a little bit of damage. Charge Iron Fillings, takes out the Mashuk, deals a little bit more to Gialis, but...
And it's an Aloe Vera Golsey, as we see.
Oh, you're right.
Oh,
Valish?
man, and that hook kick just devours that Valish. So that is, like, you know, it got its little last hurrah out there. So it's really Golsey against the world here, and unfortunately, I think that despite a stunning mid-game, being a bit overwhelmed by the things that his Tems had to do and being so outdrafted on the Inky pick, really did not serve Sryzen well in this first game. Well played to our contestants.
Yeah, Nekoblakii taking the win off the back of that Volvi, I'd say. That Volvi has just done so much and completely shaped the game.
Absolutely.
And Neko just played around it masterfully, throwing away TemTeam like the Osiara in favor of, well, saving Volvi for another turn, getting more value out of it.
Managing to divert all of that attention from it was really well done. Like, the fact of the matter is there were so many different threats that Sryzen had to account for there, and he just couldn't focus into all of them. And also, once again, sniping that Mashuk, really valuable stuff.
Yeah, the aggro team of Sryzen just slowly got picked apart before it dealt all the damage that they really wanted to, and that's just how Neko eventually won the game, using that little bit of more bulk that Neko had on her team. That just won her the game in the end.
Yeah, no, it was really good to see. Obviously, as we go into our next few games, well, I mean, our next game, I'm interested in seeing whether Sryzen's going to be able to adapt to this. Obviously, banning out the wins. I think that was a very strong draft. I think it was just a matter of play there. Like, the Mashuk was in a position where it could have knocked the dominoes down that game, but I think that Sryzen kind of got lured into an indefensible position with it and kind of just didn't expect the OCR to just charge into it full bore. The challenge with Tireless Mashuk is that I feel like people fall into that situation where they kind of just assume that it's not going to be as, well, it's going to be better at taking hits than it is. With that, though, we are into our second game.
Let's get into it then. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the adaptation that Sryzen will have to make. I don't think Neko will have to adapt at all. Sryzen goes for the full V-ban.
Yeah, that's an immediate change that we see right there. This is letting the winds through. I mean, you know, this kind of makes sense when you brought an Inky. It's kind of startling to see so many bans for things that are weak to electric.
Yeah,
Inky
definitely.
being like the natural predator of Barnshee, it felt kind of rough seeing all of those go down when all that you're left with are a bunch of things that kind of dunk on Inky if you're planning on actually bringing it.
And the goals he gets brought first again. Neko, what can Neko bring? What got banned the last time on Neko's side at first? It was that token, right?
It was the tokens. This does mean that we now have token available as a turn 1 option there. Like, turn 1 token is always kind of monstrous for any player to deal with as a lead. Just like, you know, the first 2 turns of burns there means that you can reposition however you like. You can get your madness buff off. It's just a lot easier to get those greedy plays in.
Yeah, and also, as we discussed earlier, Sryzen running that aggro team and token, that burn just does so much against the tempo of an aggro team.
Yep, it's
So
also...
it just completely takes the wind out of their sails.
Yeah, absolutely. It's also a good resist into Hellfire and Fire NATO. And Crystal Spikes. It's actually really comfy into a lot of the back line of Sryzen.
But if it doesn't get picked here, it will surely get banned.
Yeah, sadly, like, I feel like Tolkien gets kind of a Calibus thing going on there, where you kind of want it in the back to bring in at the best possible turn for that pivot, but nobody's going to let you have that right now.
Yeah, I don't think Neko will pick, and Neko will pick up the Mashuk, which is very good, as we saw last game.
Mm-hmm.
And I expect Sryzen to pick their own Mashuk as well, as... Well, it doesn't really want to eat special moves from Valash, but it's okay in the mirror, in the Mashuk mirror.
Absolutely it is, and it's definitely going to be good into this Valash.
Yeah, this Valash is once again threatened by 2 melee moves on turn 1, and I expect this Mimit to go away right. It's just too strong on Sryzen's team. It has a lot of options with Hedgine, with even Valash, and there it goes. There goes the...
On top of everything else, you also don't want it stealing the win like, Neko doesn't want it stealing her own win conditions.
Oh,
like,
definitely.
If that turns into a Barnshee, if it turns into a Gallus at the wrong moment, that could be horrifying. I've seen a lot of games turn topsy-turvy just because you left your right side open and suddenly, whoops, that really powerful Tem that you're using to take out your opponent is thrown directly back at you, and it can be pretty critical. With that, we see very quickly here a Hedgin into a OCR, a Gallus, pretty standard, what we've seen last time as well. The OCR is still pretty reasonable given its high octane pressure there, like an Aquatic Whirlwind into any of these aggro boys on Sryzen's side, still gonna hurt a lot.
No Inky this time. It is that OCR over the Inky, and we saw how much damage an OCR even did to Mashuk, so I think that will help a lot with Sryzen's aggro, because, well, Inky just didn't do anything last game.
Yep. Well, it took some hits, but that's, you know, the negative value that you don't really look for. Like, anything can take hits. My big concern with the pickups from Sryzen's side is that's a lot of special attackers outside of, like, all of the backline is special, and there's a mirroring Gallus. This is the board at which that gains value. Still, though, we are in our game 2 of our best of 2 here. Will Sryzen be able to bring this into a tie, or will Nekoblakii take game 2 in just as stunning a fashion?
So I love Sryzen's adaptation in Pig Ban. I think it was absolutely necessary to throw that rat out. It was just too threatening to Sryzen's team, and as we see again, if there was a Fovi here, it would have been strong against 4 out of 5 TemTeam. And that is a terrifying thought.
Yep, no, certainly. There's a lot of separate, like, big threats on Nekoblakii's side that are a bit intimidating to deal with, so we immediately see the hedging come in there, but Nekoblakii, with the reads, coming in with the Osiara, expecting the pressure onto the Valish there. So once again, the hedging winds up eating for the Golzi there, easy swap in, so the Osiara comes in to eat that, expecting the absence of a wastewater, which we do indeed see.
Yeah, it was just too juicy to throw out that uppercut again onto the Valash, doing that 70%, and Neko using that and throwing in the Osiara. Valash being the magnet for moves like that, because, well, everyone knows what happens when you leave a Valash untouched.
Oh yeah, if you ignore a Valash, then it will just tear you to pieces. You don't want that. So, looking at this, I think that Nekoblakii is still in a reasonable position. I feel like, yeah, no, Valish just can leave. We don't see the cage this time, as the Gallus does come in to eat this Hellfire, and potentially an uppercut.
Yeah, so there's no cage, because you obviously want your Hedgine out. It will get outspat by the Osiara with the Aquatic Whirlwind. Doesn't even go for the Aquatic Whirlwind. It is the Sabacho's Wrath, dealing a little bit of damage, but more importantly, also buffing Osiara's special attack. There's the Wastewater. And
I mean, that's more than a bit of damage. I mean, oh man, thanks to the absence of a tireless buff, the Osiara lives. And yeah, no, the Mashuk is down to under 60%, just, but still, that's pretty significant. And it shows how frail this tireless Mashuk is. I'm not sure if that lives a +1 aquatic now.
Oh, it won't. I'm pretty sure it did like 60% last time, so I am pretty sure it won't live, and that was without the buff, right? It did like 51% if I recall correctly.
Something to that tune. It's very intimidating to see.
So with a +1, that will most definitely take out this Mashuk.
Yep, so that's obviously a big concern for Sryzen there, because that's also kind of Mashuk's job, is to take down Osiara. But I think you just aquatic into that spot, ignore the Gallus this turn, and like swap in your Golzi to take the L. That feels rough, but what else is Golzi doing in this draft, right? Like, it's another melee. You have Mashuk as a melee, that's fine. You have other things to deal with that. Melee isn't your best type here. It's good against Valish, but you have a lot of things. Like, Valish is now at the point where it can die to priority unless it gets, like, buffed up again, and that's unlikely. Like, of the things that Sryzen has, Golzi is the most expendable.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And the melee was more important last match, where it was both Valash and Fovi, like, threatening everything out. But Valash is at 30%, so your Hedgine can deal with it, your Osiara would be able to deal with it, so Golzi isn't the most important TemTeam anymore.
So if we see that coming in to eat the Aquatic Whirlwind, and we see an Aquatic Whirlwind back on the Osiara, just like trying to make that trade, I think that's pretty reasonable. And it also does the valuable thing of ignoring Mirroring Gallus with your special hits for a bit, which...
Yeah, that would be fantastic for Sryzen.
Like, the big thing I don't want to see Sryzen do here is, like, agree... Oh, no, so we see the cage come down, trapping the Osiara in just to make sure this happens. This means that it looks like Sryzen's confident that they outspeed because they have Speed Arrow. Nekoblakii tries to swap the Osiara!
Oh, and there's the Aquatic Whirlwind on the side of Sryzen, and Osiara goes down after being caged, and Sryzen is now 2-2 on the cages. Every time he caged, something got trapped, and something died.
The cage reads have been spectacular there. Definitely surprising to see. I'm assuming that was for, like, an Amphitheater or Mashuk coming into there. Probably the Mashuk, expecting, like, potentially just some wastewater aggression again or something like that. But,
This also means that Mashuk OX'd and got the +1 from Tireless, so now it can... Or maybe it gets off another strong move. On the Mashuk gets swapped in on Neko's side. Osiara might be able to get a move off. I'm not sure. It will probably get outsped by a sharp step from Vialis here.
That seems more likely, but I do expect an uppercut to be coming down immediately afterwards. As you say, we do see the sharp stabs. The Ociara did a good job there, though, sniping the other Ociara. We will see an uppercut careen into this Gallus for a pretty significant amount of HP. Given how bulky this Gallus is, this is like a max HP Gallus, and it's sitting there just like taking half of its health from a single uppercut. The H-slap does come down from Nekoblakii's Mashuk, though, which, as we can see in the tireless mirror, really helps you out, actually.
It doesn't quite kill, though. That Mashuk wouldn't have killed the other Mashuk regardless, but that means that Sryzen's Mashuk might get off some more value, might get off another tireless buff and get one last uppercut or something before it goes down.
This goes back to the, okay, at this point, my question is, does this Mashuk outspeed the Gallus? We see that it's outsped the Mashuk because Speed Arrow didn't move from Sryzen's side when these two Mashuks both used neutral prio. So what I'm expecting is like a plasma beam onto our friend Mashuk here, and then like another uppercut into this Gallus, which will take it down unless it swaps.
Yeah, I think that is exactly what I was wanted to go for as well, but that Gallus does swap out, and Amphitheater comes in, and that might be a potential hit into that Amphitheater.
Ooh, that's risky though. Like, you've swapped an Amphitheater into a Hedgen. Now granted, Hedgen, you know, you do outspeed that as an Amphitheater, and oh man,
God.
that Amphitheater still ate it from that.
An uppercut on the Mashuk, so the Mashuk finally goes down, but it got to +3 due to Tireless before it, well, fell.
And we can see precisely,
value.
Yeah, no, we can see precisely why Nekoblakii targeted it so hard in the last game. Like, if you let a Mashuk pop off, it does that in all caps, bold, italic, and in the center of the page. Speaking of which, all we need to see here is a wastewater, and we will see exactly the same thing there. I don't think that Nekoblakii can afford to do that, though. What I actually think that you need to do is swap right back into Gallus this turn, get some mirroring off. We can expect the Crystal Dust onto the Amphitheater, or alternately, actually, okay, no, never mind. We could expect a Crystal Spikes onto Mashuk, followed by the Hellfire. I think you just let Amphitheater go down.
I don't think there's any other way than a Crystal Spike onto the Mashuk and a Hellfire. This is probably one of Sryzen's most aggressive boards possible with priority-wise and just heavy-hitting moves.
Absolutely.
And is there something that wants to eat it? No, everything on Neko's side is pretty low, so nothing wants to eat a Crystal Spikes into that Hellfire.
Yeah, this is my problem. Like, I think if Gallus does make that swap, like, you'll get value out of the mirroring, but then you lose your Gallus, which is your main way to dunk on Valish. And Gulzi, actually. The Gulzi is kind of a sleeper threat here. You do have the Valish and the Mashuk as, redundancy for both of those aggressive types, though. So we could still see the mirroring play into like a Valish Mashuk endgame to try to get that going there. We actually do see that Nekoblakii just accepts the fact that this Mashuk is going down, the Plague coming down onto the Hedgen to make it really regret clicking Hellfire here.
I don't think you really regret it, though, if you click it, because that's 2 potential kills that you hit. There is the Hellfire going down. Mashuk goes down barely because of that strange fest. It took a lot of it didn't take that much damage.
It definitely took a lot of punishment,
but it died.
Oh man, this is
this is not a board that appreciates Hedgine.
No, it really isn't. Okay, so Fire Tornado is a thing. I think that it's very likely that Nekoblakii will be able to take down this Valish this turn. I don't think you really want to, as Sryzen, Fire Tornado the Gallus right now. Like, you want to hit that with your Scavenger, so that way the mirroring procs are offset by your own Scavenger, and you deal with that way. You Fire Tornado the Valish, and then things go through from there. So a lot of that becomes, right, do I outspeed and do I KO? I don't think you KO with Crystal Spikes. Here is the problem.
I don't think so either. The question is, will that Golsi be able to take a single move? I mean, it doesn't matter anymore as the Valish goes down to the Crystal Spikes. There is the Fire Tornado, and Sryzen just ends it right here.
Oh, dang. Yeah, no, that didn't even matter, as Sryzen does bring it into a tie.
Yeah, that was... Damn, Sryzen bringing the aggro, didn't even have to send out that goalsy.
No, that was very impressive to see. Really fun set of matches there. This is what I like about aggro mirrors. Like, it really turned, like, while they finish quickly, it's really all about getting those iconic turns, catching out the OCR with a cage, making appropriate swaps in places, and making sure that you're capable of maintaining an aggressive board state, thinking about all of that inside draft, and making sure that you don't have any dead draws. There's so much that you can look into with that.
Yeah, I love aggro in this game. In a lot of games, people always claim that aggro is like skillless and it's just going face, right? But in TemTeam, going aggro actually has a lot of like thought with it. There's so many little decisions that you have to make, and stuff like the cage can just grab tempo, and you just win like smooth sailing from there. And I love aggro in this game so much. It just
absolutely.
Gives
If you try to small
matchups.
brain, if you try to small brain aggro in this game, it's a really good way to get walled and die.
So that means that because of this tie, Sryzen's top 8 will be decided on Neko and Tsubaki's match, correct?
That it will, and that match will be happening in roughly an hour and a half. Should be a pretty fun one as well. Obviously, Tsubaki's team is Raid Boss Factory that's been very fun to watch. We've seen the terror that Nekoblakii can wreak on a board. As you can see here as well, thanks to our handy-dandy upcoming matches screen, we can see that we also have a Group B match, Cielo Aoi versus Mr. Rishi, both of them very acclaimed players as well. Cielo Aoi has been bringing back the Volcrane with a vengeance, and Mr. Rishi's been doing a lot of fun, kind of mid-rangey stuff as of late. He's brought back that Mirror and Gallus again, very much championing that alongside a bunch of other people there. And then finally, Trot versus Axolotus there. This is going to be a fantastic game. Trot and Axolotus are like a really unorthodox mirror match because they both play Adoro Mudrid.
Yeah, it is. That's gonna be great. I just love when people bring the unorthodox comps. As much as I love the aggro mirrors or the aggro matchups where more standard stuff gets brought, like everyone just loves a little bit of cheese in their comp, right?
Oh, I couldn't agree more. It's always very fun trying to look at how things are going to play out and seeing in it, like, it's as a caster, nothing brings a smile to my face more than like casting an interesting game between two innovative team compositions that play around like sort of competitive standbys rather than necessarily playing into them. Like for instance, in a recent tournament we saw Turby versus Trot, and Turby's got, if you haven't seen Turby's team, very interesting team. Very oriented around like sort of a Doom matchup there. He like really plays off of Digithreat.
Oh, interesting. As I said, I have been out of the comp for a little bit since Sepanku dropped, but obviously I still have a decent grasp on what's okay and what's like a little bit cheese or meme, I guess. But it's been so fun to see all the shakeups in the meta and all the different kind of TemTeam that get brought, and of course the same good old TemTeam being brought as well, Cuff Fulvi.
Oh man.
So yeah, it is. It's been great. It's been a blast to get to Cost again.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining me once again, Jeb. If you're looking for more Jeb, don't worry. He will be casting more matches today. And in the meantime, I'm going to sign off now. If you want to check out the standings, once again, remember that you can check out the standings using !standings in our stream. And if not, we'll have a link in our description when these are uploaded on YouTube. And yeah, don't forget to check out these upcoming matches when they happen. They're going to be some real spicy ones today as we're getting into our top 8 and the sort of top cut itself. Once again, I'd like to thank everybody. I've been Quarter.
Yes, thank you everyone. See you in, hopefully see you in about an hour and a half, I believe. Is that correct?
No,
it's 2 hours and a half, I believe.
Oh, my mistake. There we go.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, it's 2 hours and a half before the Tsubaki versus Neko matchup, which, as we said, is going to be incredibly important for Group D. So thanks everyone for being here, and hopefully see you soon.
All the best, folks. It's been a treasure.